Your son's bastard doesn't deserve a party, and neither do you. Cancel it, or we'll make sure everyone knows what kind of gold-digging whore you really are." Those were the words my boyfriend Ryan's mother, Victoria, hissed at me through the phone at 11 p.m., exactly 12 hours before 200 guests were supposed to arrive at the Fairmont Hotel's grand ballroom for what was meant to be the baby shower of the century. I'm still shaking as I type this. I'm 8 months pregnant, sitting on my bathroom floor at 3 a.m., and I don't know what to do. But let me start from the beginning, because I need anyone, to tell me I'm not crazy. My name is Jessica Martinez. I'm 27 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I was living in a fairy tale. I work as a graphic designer for a small firm in Chicago, not glamorous, but I love what I do and make decent money. I met Ryan Blackwood 2 years ago at a charity gala my company was sponsoring. He was everything I'd never dared to dream about. Handsome, kind, successful, and surprisingly down-to-earth despite coming from one of Chicago's wealthiest families. The Blackwoods own a chain of luxury hotels across the Midwest. You've probably stayed in one, Blackwood Grand Hotels. Ryan's father, William Blackwood III, built the empire from his father's single hotel into a hospitality dynasty worth hundreds of millions. His mother, Victoria, comes from old Chicago money, the kind of family that has wings named after them at the Art Institute. When Ryan and I started dating, I was terrified of meeting his family. I grew up in Pilsen, raised by a single mom who cleaned houses, including, ironically, some in the Blackwoods neighborhood. My dad left when I was 3. I put myself through community college, and then UIC, working 3 jobs to pay for it. I didn't know which fork to use at fancy dinners or how to make small talk about yacht clubs. But Ryan didn't care about any of that. "You're real, Jess," he'd tell me. "You're brilliant and creative and kind. That's what matters." His family seemed to accept me at first. Victoria would air-kiss my cheeks at family dinners and compliment my dress, always with a slight undertone that suggested surprise I could dress appropriately. William would nod approvingly when Ryan brought me to company events. His younger sister, Charlotte, was actually warm. We'd go shopping together, and she'd tell me funny stories about Ryan as a kid. Everything changed when I got pregnant. We didn't plan the pregnancy, but we were happy. Ryan and I had talked about marriage and kids. We were already living together in his Lincoln Park condo. When I saw those 2 pink lines, I cried happy tears. When I told Ryan, he literally spun me around in our kitchen, laughing with joy. "We're having a baby," he kept saying, kissing my face. "A little you and me." We decided to tell his family at their weekly Sunday dinner. I should have known something was wrong when Victoria's face went from fake smile to ice cold in 2 seconds flat. "You're pregnant," she said, setting down her wine glass with a sharp clink.
"Yes."
"Isn't it wonderful?" Ryan beamed, squeezing my hand. "You're going to be grandparents. How far along?" William asked, his voice businesslike. 11 weeks, I answered. "We just had our first ultrasound." "And you're not married," Victoria interrupted. "Mom, it's 2024, Charlotte said, rolling her eyes. "Lots of people have babies before marriage." "Lots of people, perhaps," Victoria said, her gaze fixed on me. "But not Blackwoods." The rest of the dinner was tense. Victoria barely spoke, and when she did, it was to make pointed comments about proper family planning and the importance of legitimacy in business circles. As we left, she pulled Ryan aside while I was getting my coat. I heard her whisper, "You need to be careful, darling. You know nothing about her family. What if this is all calculated?" Ryan's response made me love him even more. "The only calculation here is how lucky I am to have Jess and our baby. If you can't be happy for us, that's your problem." For the next few months, things were cold but civil with his family. Victoria would invite us to events, but spend the entire time introducing me as Ryan's girlfriend, with emphasis that made it sound like a disease. William started having urgent business matters every time we visited. Then, at 6 months pregnant, everything seemed to change. Victoria called me directly, which had never happened before. "Jessica, dear," she said, her voice warm. "I owe you an apology. I reacted poorly to your wonderful news. A grandchild is a blessing, and I've been simply awful. I was stunned. Oh, Victoria, thank you. That means a lot. I want to make it up to you, she continued. Let me throw you the most spectacular baby shower Chicago has ever seen. The Fairmont, full catering, all the bells and whistles. It's the least I can do for my grandchild's mother. I should have been suspicious. But I was hormonal, exhausted from working full-time while growing a human, and desperately wanted Ryan's family to accept me. So I said yes. Victoria threw herself into planning with an intensity that was both overwhelming and touching. She hired Celestine Davies, Chicago's premier event planner. We had meetings twice a week at the Blackwood estate in Winnetka, going over every detail. Only the best for our first grandchild, Victoria would say, showing me centerpieces that cost more than my monthly rent. The guest list grew to 200 people, all of Chicago's elite, plus my family and friends. Victoria insisted on inviting everyone. We want to celebrate properly, she said. Show everyone how welcomed you are in our family. She took me to Neiman Marcus and bought me a $3,000 designer dress for the shower. You must look the part, dear, she said, having it tailored to fit my bump perfectly. The invitations were letterpressed, hand-delivered works of art. The menu was designed by a Michelin-starred chef. The floral arrangements alone cost $15,000. There was going to be a harpist, a champagne wall with sparkling juice for me, and gift bags worth $500 each. My mom was worried. Mija, this seems like too much, she said when I showed her the invitation. Why are they doing all this now? They're trying to make amends, Mom, I told her. This is their way of welcoming me to the family. My best friend, Lucia, was more direct. This feels like a trap, Jess. Rich people don't just flip like this. But I was so hopeful, so desperate to believe that my child would have the big, loving family I never had, that I ignored the red flags. A week before the shower, Victoria called with a request. Dear, I've had the most wonderful idea. William and I would like to formally announce at the shower that we're setting up a trust fund for the baby. $1 million to start, with more added each year. I nearly dropped the phone. Victoria, that's incredibly generous, but... No buts. This is our grandchild. But there is one tiny thing. Purely for legal reasons, you understand. Our lawyers insist that you sign some paperwork. Standard stuff about the trust, custody arrangements if anything happens to Ryan, that sort of thing. Could you pop by tomorrow to sign? Don't bother Ryan about it. He's so stressed with the Singapore project. This is just administrative. I should have called a lawyer. I should have told Ryan. But I was working on a huge project deadline, I was exhausted, and Victoria had been so kind lately. So I went. The paperwork was a stack of documents an inch thick. Victoria's lawyer, a sharp-faced man named Mr. Cromwell, pushed them across the conference table. Just some formalities, Ms. Martinez, he said smoothly. Sign where the tabs are marked. Can I read through these first? I asked. Victoria laughed, that tinkling fake laugh of hers. Oh dear, it's all legal jargon. The shower is in 6 days, and we need these filed to announce the trust. You do want the trust announced at the shower, don't you? Imagine how impressed everyone will be. Exhausted, overwhelmed, and trusting, I signed. I signed away everything. The day before the shower, I was glowing with excitement. My mom and aunts had flown in from various states. My friends had taken time off work. The nursery was full of pre-shower gifts from people who couldn't attend. Ryan had been pulled into endless meetings about the Singapore expansion, but he promised he'd be at the shower no matter what. I spent the morning at the spa with Charlotte, getting our nails done, Victoria's treat. Charlotte seemed nervous, checking her phone constantly. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, just family drama. You know how Mom is. That afternoon, I went to the Fairmont to check on the setup. The ballroom was magnificent, like something from a magazine. Thousands of white roses, crystal everything. A literal throne for me to sit in while opening gifts. The mom-to-be sign was made of fresh peonies. There was a dessert table that looked like it belonged at a royal wedding. Celestine, The event planner seemed stressed when she saw me. Ms. Martinez, I wasn't expecting you. Everything is progressing. It looks incredible, I said, tearing up a little. Thank you for everything. She gave me an odd look. Yes, well, enjoy it. That should have been my final warning. At 11 p.m., as I was setting my alarm for the morning, my phone rang. Victoria. Hello? Victoria is everything. You stupid, gold-digging little bitch. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear to check I'd heard correctly. What? Did you really think we'd let you trap our son? Did you think we'd celebrate you worming your way into our family? Victoria, I don't understand. The shower is cancelled. Celestine has been instructed to have everything removed tonight. The guests have been contacted and told you've been hospitalized with complications. A tragedy, really. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. You can't do this. 200 people. Your son's bastard doesn't deserve a party, and neither do you. Cancel it, or we'll make sure everyone knows what kind of gold-digging whore you really are. Ryan would never let you. Ryan is on a plane to Singapore as we speak. An urgent crisis that required immediate attention. He'll be gone for 3 weeks minimum. Funny how these things happen. You sent him away? We protected him, just like we always have. From girls like you who think getting pregnant is a lottery ticket. I have been nothing but. You've been nothing but a calculating parasite. But you made a mistake, Jessica. Those papers you signed? You gave us everything we needed. Full custody rights if Ryan is unable to parent. A confession that you deliberately got pregnant to access Blackwood money. An agreement that you have no claim to any family assets. That's not what those papers said. Prove it. You didn't even read them. I was sobbing now. The shower is tomorrow.
My family flew in.
Everything is paid for.
No, dear.
We paid for everything. And we've canceled everything. The venue, the catering, the flowers, all gone. Your little friends and welfare family will show up to an empty ballroom. How embarrassing for you. Please, Victoria.
Don't do this.
Think about your grandchild. That thing you're carrying is no grandchild of mine. It's a mistake that Ryan will remedy once he realizes what you really are. We've done this before, you know. Charlotte had a similar situation in college. A boy who thought he'd hit the jackpot. We handled it then and we'll handle you now. The line went dead. I immediately tried calling Ryan. Straight to voicemail. I texted, called again, texted again. Nothing. I called Charlotte. She answered on the third ring, her voice slurred. She'd been drinking. Char, please, what's happening? Your mom says the shower is cancelled. Jess, I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you. I wanted to tell you, but Mom, she has these photos of me from college and she threatened to. I'm so sorry. Photos? Charlotte, what is going on? Just don't fight them, okay? It's easier if you don't fight. Take whatever they offer and leave. It's better that way. She hung up. I called the Fairmont directly. The night manager confirmed that the Blackwood event had been canceled as of 10 p.m. Everything was being torn down as we spoke, and no, there was nothing they could do. I called Celestine. No answer. I went on Facebook. Victoria had posted an hour ago. Sadly, tomorrow's event has been canceled due to unexpected medical complications. Please keep our family in your prayers during this difficult time. The comments were already pouring in. Sympathy, concern, people saying they'd been looking forward to celebrating but of course understood. I didn't sleep. How could I? At 6 a.m., my mom called. Mija, I'm at the hotel. They're saying there's no event. What's happening? I broke down and told her everything. She went silent for a long moment.
Get dressed.
We're fixing this. Mom, there's nothing to fix. They canceled everything.
Get
dressed. An hour later, my mom, my 3 aunts, and Lucia were at my apartment. My mom had a look I'd only seen once before, when my dad showed up to my high school graduation with his new family. Lucia, call every guest you have a number for. Tell them the venue has changed to St. Augustine's Church Hall. Maria, go to Costco. Get platters, drinks, whatever they have ready-made. Carmen, flowers, grocery store. Nothing fancy. Rosa, you and I are going to the bakery. Mom, we can't. Yes, we can. They want to humiliate you? They want your family and friends to think you're some kind of failure?
No.
We're having this shower. Within 2 hours, my army of angels had transformed St. Augustine's old church hall into something beautiful. Not Fairmont beautiful, but real beautiful. Grocery store flowers in mason jars. Costco appetizers arranged on borrowed church platters. A chic cake from Jewel with Welcome Baby Martinez in blue frosting. Lucia's boyfriend brought his speaker system. My cousin strung up lights from her wedding last year. People started arriving at noon, confused but adaptable. My side came in force. Every aunt, cousin, childhood friend, and co-worker who'd been invited. Even my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chun, who taught me to knit baby booties. But then, surprisingly, others came too. Ryan's college friends. Some of his co-workers. Even a few of Victoria's society friends. We knew something was off about that cancellation, said Mrs. Worthington, one of Victoria's book club members. Medical complications, but you're posting on Instagram? Please. Charlotte showed up at 1 p.m., mascara smeared, holding a giant gift bag. They don't know I'm here, she whispered. But I couldn't let them do this to you. Not again. Again? She looked around, then pulled me aside. There were 3 others before you. Girls Ryan dated that they didn't approve of. They always find a way to make them leave. Usually it's just money, they pay them off. But you were different. Ryan really loves you. And that terrified them. The shower was nothing like what Victoria had planned. There was no harpist, no champagne wall, no $500 gift bags. But there was laughter. Real laughter. My Aunt Maria told embarrassing stories about me as a kid. Mrs. Chin taught everyone to knit. Lucia's mom led a traditional blessing for the baby. We played silly games with toilet paper and melted candy bars and diapers. I got real gifts. Not the over-the-top luxury items from Victoria's list, but handmade blankets, second-hand books loved by other children, a rocking chair that had been in my friend's family for generations. Halfway through the shower, my phone finally rang.
Ryan. Jess.
What the hell is happening? I just landed and saw Mom's Facebook post about medical complications. Are you okay? Is the baby okay? Ryan, where are you? Singapore. The expansion deal was falling apart. Dad said if I didn't fly out immediately, we'd lose millions. There's no deal, is there?
Silence.
Then, what do you mean? I told him everything. The cancellation, his mother's call, the papers I'd signed, the makeshift shower at the church. With each word, his breathing got heavier. I'm coming home.
Right now.
I'm getting on the next flight. Ryan.
No, Jess.
This ends now. They've controlled my entire life, but they don't get to do this to you. To our child. I'm done. Charlotte overheard and grabbed my phone. Ryan, it's Char. I'm at the real shower. Mom made me help plan it all, the fake reconciliation, the papers, everything. She has those photos from college. She threatened to. I heard Ryan's voice, tinny through the phone but firm. She can't hurt you anymore, Char. We're both done being their puppets. Ryan flew back, landing at 2 a.m. He came straight to my apartment, still in his suit from the fake meeting, looking haggard but determined. Pack a bag, he said. We're going to a hotel until I can sort this out. Ryan, I can't afford. I can. I have my own money, not family money. My salary, my bonuses, my investments. They think they control me because I work for the company, but I've been planning my exit for years. We checked into the Palmer house, not a Blackwood property. Ryan spent the next day on the phone with lawyers. Turns out, the papers I'd signed were likely fraudulent and definitely signed under duress. No legitimate lawyer would have presented them the way Cromwell did. Ryan also discovered something else. The Singapore crisis? There was no crisis. The executive there had been told by William to create a fake emergency. He had the emails to prove it. That evening, Ryan went to his parents' house alone. He was gone for 3 hours. When he came back, he looked older but somehow lighter. It's done, he said. I quit. Effective immediately. Told them if they ever contact you again, if they ever come near our child, I'll go public with everything. Every dirty deal, every bribe, every scandal they've covered up. Charlotte's backing me up. She's quit too. Ryan, your inheritance. Fuck the inheritance. I'd rather have you and our baby and live in a studio apartment than have all their money and lose my soul. The Blackwood response was swift and vicious. William formally disowned Ryan in a letter sent via their lawyer. Victoria started a whisper campaign among their social circle that I'd trapped and corrupted both her children. They froze Ryan out of every family asset, canceled his company cards, and even tried to repossess his car. Joke was on them. He'd bought it himself, not through the company. But we'd underestimated how many people were sick of the Blackwoods. Mrs. Worthington called me personally. Dear, I've known Victoria for 30 years. She's a venomous snake. I'm throwing you a proper shower, a real one, with real friends. Ryan's college roommate, now a successful tech entrepreneur, offered him a job immediately. I've been trying to poach you for years. This is perfect timing. Charlotte moved in with us temporarily. She'd been living in a Blackwood property, and they'd evicted her within 24 hours of her supporting us. But she was laughing as she dragged her suitcases in. I'm 26 years old, and this is the first decision I've ever made for myself, she said. It feels incredible. My mom and aunts created a meal train. Every night, someone brought dinner. My cousin's husband, a contractor, baby-proofed our apartment for free. Mrs. Chin knitted an entire wardrobe of baby clothes. The Blackwoods weren't done. 2 weeks after the shower disaster, we were served with papers. They were suing for emotional distress and damage to their reputation. They also filed for preemptive custody rights, claiming I was an unfit mother who'd shown erratic behavior and mental instability. Their evidence? The signed papers presented as a confession, the canceled shower, spun as me having a breakdown, and testimonies from their society friends about my inappropriate background. We couldn't afford a high-powered lawyer, but we didn't need one. Ryan's friend from law school, Malik, took our case pro bono. This is insane, even for them, he said, reading through their filing. Half of this is legally inadmissible, and the other half makes them look worse than you. He was right. The papers I'd signed were thrown out immediately, obtained under false pretenses with no legal representation present. The breakdown story fell apart when 200 people could testify they'd attended a lovely shower at St. Augustine's. And their character witnesses were countered by dozens of ours, my colleagues, Ryan's co-workers, even some of Victoria's former friends who'd been victims of her manipulation over the years. The coup de grace came from an unexpected source. Cromwell, the Blackwood lawyer, reached out to Malik privately. He was retiring and, apparently, had a conscience after all. He provided an affidavit stating that Victoria had instructed him to trick me into signing papers and that the documents were deliberately misrepresented. 3 weeks after the shower disaster, I went into labor. It was 3 a.m., 2 weeks early, and Ryan was in the shower when my water broke. He drove to the hospital like a madman, running 2 red lights and getting 1 ticket he proudly framed later. Labor lasted 18 hours. Ryan never left my side, feeding me iced chips, rubbing my back, whispering encouragement when I wanted to give up. You're the strongest person I know, he kept saying. You stood up to my family. You threw a beautiful shower out of nothing. You can do this. Charlotte was in the waiting room with my mom, my aunts, and Lucia. They'd formed an unlikely bond, teaching Charlotte card games and feeding her tamales from the hospital cafeteria. Our son was born at 9:23 p.m. 7 pounds, 8 ounces of perfect. We named him Diego, after my grandfather, with Robert as his middle name, after Ryan's grandfather, the only Blackwood Ryan had ever respected. The moment the nurse placed Diego on my chest, everything else faded away. The drama, the betrayal, the fear, none of it mattered. This tiny person was worth everything. Ryan cried harder than I did. He's perfect. You're perfect. Our family is perfect. That's when I knew we'd be okay. We thought the Blackwoods would give up after losing the legal battle, but we underestimated their vindictiveness. When Diego was 3 weeks old, Child Protective Services showed up at our door. We received a report of neglect and unsafe living conditions, the social worker said apologetically. I can see that's clearly not the case, but we have to investigate. The report claimed we were living in squalor, that I was using drugs, and that Ryan was violent. All lies, obviously. The social worker closed the case immediately, but it was terrifying. Then Ryan's new job suddenly rescinded their offer. His friend called, mortified. Your father threatened to destroy my company. I have 50 employees, Ryan. I'm so sorry. Our landlord gave us 30 days notice to vacate. No reason given, but we knew. My mom's house was vandalized. Someone spray-painted trash on her garage door. Charlotte's credit cards were mysteriously maxed out with purchases she hadn't made. But the worst came when Diego was 6 weeks old. I was walking him in a stroller when a black SUV pulled up beside us. The window rolled down, and Victoria was there, looking nothing like the polished society woman I'd known. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared. That should have been my grandchild, she hissed. A real grandchild, with the right breeding, the right mother. You've ruined everything. Victoria, please. I will destroy you. Both of you. That baby will know nothing but suffering because of what you've done. I recorded the entire interaction on my phone. Thank God for technology. That recording changed everything. Malik immediately filed a restraining order and criminal harassment charges. But more importantly, Ryan sent the recording to every member of the Blackwood Hotel's board of directors with a simple message. This is the woman representing your company at charity events and board meetings. The board was horrified. Within 48 hours, William was asked to take a leave of absence to handle his family matters. Victoria was removed from all her charity boards after someone, Charlotte, leaked the recording to a gossip blogger. But the real blow to the Blackwoods came from an unexpected source, the FBI. Turns out, Ryan's threat to expose their dirty dealings wasn't empty. When he quit, he'd taken copies of everything. Years of fraudulent contracts, tax evasion, bribery of city officials for hotel permits. He'd planned to use it only as protection, but when Victoria threatened our baby, he handed it all over to the authorities. I spent my whole life watching them destroy people, he told me. I kept records thinking, maybe someday I'd be brave enough to stop them. Our son made me brave enough. The investigation took months, but the Blackwoods' empire crumbled quickly. Assets were frozen. Hotels were seized. William was arrested on federal charges of tax evasion, wire fraud, and bribery. Victoria wasn't charged criminally, but she was named in multiple civil suits. They lost everything. The house in Winnetka? Sold to pay legal fees. The cars, the yacht, the art collection all gone. Victoria moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Des Plaines. William was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Meanwhile, our life got better. Ryan's college roommate rehired him after the Blackwoods could no longer threaten anyone. He started as VP of development and quickly proved himself invaluable. I went back to work part-time, with Diego in the company daycare. My boss, who'd watched the whole saga unfold, promoted me to lead designer. Charlotte started therapy and began building her own life. She got a job as a museum curator. Turns out, she'd always loved art but had been forced into business by their parents. She's dating a kindergarten teacher now, someone as far from the Blackwood world as possible. We moved to a 3-bedroom apartment in Logan Square. Nothing fancy, but it has a little yard where Diego can play when he's older. Diego is 8 months old now as I write this. He has Ryan's eyes and my smile. He's crawling everywhere, pulling himself up on furniture, and saying mama and dada with enthusiasm, if not accuracy. Our apartment is always full. My mom comes over twice a week to watch Diego while I work. Ryan's college friends have become Diego's unofficial uncles. Charlotte is his favorite aunt, reading him stories with different voices for every character. Mrs. Chun from our old building takes the bus to visit monthly, bringing new knitted creations. Lucia is Diego's godmother and spoils him rotten. My aunts compete over who makes the best baby food. Last month, we had Diego's baptism. The church was packed, Not with society elites or business contacts, but with people who actually love us. The same people who'd scrambled to throw together a last-minute baby shower. The same people who'd stood by us through everything. Ryan's cousin James reached out recently. He'd been abroad during most of the drama, but heard about everything. The family is split, he told us. Half still defend Uncle William and Aunt Victoria. The other half, well, we always knew they were toxic. We're just glad someone finally stood up to them. He comes for dinner sometimes now, carefully rebuilding a relationship free from the Blackwood poison. Last week, a letter arrived from federal prison. Ryan almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. It was from William. Not an apology, I don't think he's capable of that. But an acknowledgement. Ryan, your mother and I built an empire on control and fear. We thought that made us strong. We raised you and Charlotte to be extensions of our ambition, not individuals with your own dreams. You were right to leave. Right to protect your family from us. That baby, my grandson I'll never meet, is better off without the Blackwood curse. Your mother blames the Martinez girl for everything.
She's wrong.
We destroyed ourselves long before she came along. She just held up a mirror we couldn't bear to look into. Don't make our mistakes. Love your son for who he is, not who you want him to be. William. Ryan read it twice, then put it in a drawer.
Too little, too late, he said.
But at least he knows what he lost. Tomorrow is Diego's first birthday. We're having a party, nothing fancy, just family and friends in the park. There will be grocery store cake and homemade food and probably too many pictures. Charlotte is making a photo album of Diego's first year. Ryan's been practicing his guitar to play Happy Birthday. My mom is cooking enough food for an army. Mrs. Chen knitted a special birthday sweater. Sometimes I think about that shower that never was, the ice sculptures, the designer, everything, the 200 guests who didn't really care about us. I think about Victoria's grand plans to announce $1 million trust fund. Diego doesn't have a trust fund. He won't inherit a hotel empire. He won't go to Swiss boarding schools or have a wing named after him at Northwestern. But he will grow up surrounded by love. Real love, not the conditional, controlling manipulation the Blackwoods called love. He'll know his worth isn't tied to his last name or his bank account. He'll learn that family isn't about blood or money or social status. It's about showing up, standing up for each other, and choosing love over control. Victoria was right about one thing. I did ruin everything. Everything fake. Everything built on lies and intimidation. Everything that prioritized appearance over authenticity. I ruined their careful facade and exposed the rot underneath. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. My son will never know the cold marble halls of the Blackwood estate. He'll never feel the weight of impossible expectations or the sting of conditional love. He'll never wonder if he's loved for who he is or what he represents. Instead, he'll know the warmth of his abuela's kitchen, where love is served with every meal. He'll know the safety of parents who chose him over money. He'll know the joy of aunts and uncles who earn their titles through love, not blood. The Blackwoods tried to destroy us because we didn't fit their image of a perfect family. They tried to shame me for my background, punish Ryan for loving me, and deny our son's existence. They failed. We're not a perfect family. We're a real family. And that's worth more than all the Blackwood millions that no longer exist.